All right, today we're going to dive into this really powerful Zen principle that could totally unlock your ability to learn just about anything and learn it fast. It's all wrapped up in a simple story with a huge lesson. So let's get right into it. You ever stop and think about this? Why do some of the smartest, most accomplished people we know sometimes just hit a wall when they try to pick up something new? It doesn't seem to make sense, right? But the reason is actually hiding in plain sight. This classic Zen saying just nails it, doesn't it? It's basically saying that being an expert, which we all strive for, can actually become a kind of trap. And maybe the real key to growing is finding our way back to that beginner's mindset. So, to really get a handle on this dilemma, let's look at a story about a guy who is the poster child for it. His journey shows us exactly how the knowledge we're so proud of can become our biggest roadblock. So this is Professor Arthur. I mean, on paper, this guy was the definition of success. He had the degrees, the awards, a big reputation as a top thinker. But for all that knowledge he had packed in his head, something really important was missing. Okay, so let's dig a little deeper here. What was actually going on inside Professor Arthur's mind? What was it that was really holding him back from finding the wisdom he was so desperate for? You see, on the surface, he was this pillar of intellect. But deep down, he was totally frustrated. He loved proving how much he knew, and his go-to move was cutting people off with, "I already know that." His own expertise had become his worst enemy. So when Arthur hears about this wise Zen master, his ego just lights up. His goal wasn't to go and learn something. It was to go and debate the master, to show off everything he knew and basically win. And the second he arrives, there's no humility, no respect, not even a simple hello. He just launches right into this big speech, so full of his own ideas that there was literally no room to take in anything new. And this, right here, is the turning point of the whole story. It's a simple, quiet moment that is about to completely shatter the professor's world. So while Arthur is just droning on and on about his theories, the master just listens, smiles, and starts making some tea. A really quiet, patient, and very deliberate act. He pours the steaming tea, and it rises right to the very, very edge of the cup. The professor, of course, is so lost in the sound of his own voice, he doesn't even notice. And here's where it gets really good. Even with the cup totally full, the master just keeps pouring. And the tea just cascades over the edge, flooding the saucer, dripping all over the table, and staining the professor's expensive clothes. This quiet little moment suddenly becomes a total mess. Arthur finally snaps out of his lecture, shouting because he's so annoyed. And in that one moment, without even realizing it, he perfectly explains his own problem. And that outburst, right there, leads us straight to the core lesson of this story. A principle that is so simple, but so incredibly transformative. The master's response was so calm, so direct. He basically held up Arthur's own words like a mirror. You are like this cup, full, with absolutely no room for anything new to get in. And that right there is the empty cup principle. It's this simple but really powerful idea that to truly learn something, you have to approach it with humility. You have to be willing to set aside what you think you already know. And in that moment, just watching the tea drip off the table, it all clicked for Arthur. He realized his intellect wasn't a tool for discovery anymore. It had become a defensive shield, protecting his ego, but blocking out any real wisdom. Okay, the story is powerful, for sure. But how do we actually apply this in our own lives? Well, let's break it down into a few simple, practical steps you can start taking today. First, embrace the power of just saying, "I don't know." It's actually a superpower. Second, practice listening more than you speak. And I mean really listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. Third, ask questions because you're genuinely curious, not because you're trying to challenge someone. And finally, remember that wisdom can come from anyone, anywhere. Look, if you take only one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. Those three little words, "I already know," are often the biggest things standing in the way of your own growth. They just shut the door on possibility. And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Take a moment, be honest with yourself, and ask, what's in your cup?